Hey guys, how's it going? So a lot of you guys are asking, how do you guys compete in a saturated niche? So a lot of my companies, a lot of my products exist in very, very saturated niches, but I still find a way to be very successful and make a lot of money in these niches. Now, the biggest thing is yes, there's the obvious answers to this. How do you compete in a saturated niche? You compete on price, you differentiate your product, you brand yours differently. Absolutely. Those are all three great answers, but those aren't the answers that I'm going to give you. I don't think that those are appropriate. Now, yes, of course, if you can be more competitive on price, that's awesome, but the problem is we don't exist in a grocery store. In a grocery store, you can easily see different goods right beside, right? If I'm choosing between, a can of soup, I can see that Campbell's is $2.99 and I can see that the store brand is $1.99 and it's the same product. So I'm going to go with the cheaper alternative. In the online world, your products aren't readily accessible like that. You're driving people to your site. With a low involvement purchase, they're not going to do research to see what other products exist out there. They're simply going to go, do I want that product at that price point? Yes or no. They're not going to go, let me see, let me Google a few things and see. Yes, some consumers will, but generally speaking, for low involvement purchases, that's not an angle that we can take. They're not going to look for other prices. It doesn't matter. It's just going to be a yes or no accepting your price. Okay. Now, brand differentiation. Yeah, you can, but again, this is one of those things. You're in a low involvement purchase, right? People don't really care about the brand of pencil that they use, or things like that. Those they're really meaningless pieces of material. They're commodity objects. It's a saturated market. There's tons of options that they can go to, so you can't really differentiate amongst brand. Where you can differentiate is your message and who you target to. So this is my biggest example of this. If you were to go and enter the cosmetics niche, you're selling lipstick, okay? And this is my go-to for this. Now, there's a ton of lipstick brands out there, and if you were to go sell in the cosmetics niche on Facebook, if you simply went and you advertised to the interest group cosmetics with your lipstick, there is probably realistically 3,000 other companies doing the exact same thing in that niche. Therefore, you're competing heads up with these people trying to sell lipstick in a cosmetics niche. Or the other perfect example is everyone starting a drop shipping watch store. Yes, it's very saturated. Can you still be successful in there? Yes. Is it more difficult? Absolutely it is. It's more difficult to be very successful in a saturated niche, but you can. But the problem is when you start a watch company, everyone puts in Facebook interest the word watch. Now, you're competing literally heads up against all of your competition. Whereas there's a lot of people who are probably interested in watches or lipstick that don't fall under Facebook's interest categorization of watch or of cosmetics or makeup, things like that. So it's about finding that same demographic, but trying to see where that overlap exists and saying, you know what, yes, these users are interested in watches and they fall under the interest of watch, but how can I find that small percentage that are interested in watches that don't fall under that watch? That's how you guys need to start to think about your interests. So to tackle something like that, and this is something that I work with my clients all the time because this isn't necessarily the easiest thing. So I encourage you guys to try. If you need some help, reach out to me and I can help you out. But the biggest thing is if I'm trying to compete in the watch industry, well, every man can wear a watch, right? There's really no set demographic of people who wear, low involvement watches. We're talking $50 and under watches. Yes, high engagement watches do exist. There's a very specific niche for that. But low engagement watches, every single man, woman has a need for this product at some point or has a use for this product. But who do we want to compete with? Find certain product categories that watches go really well with, like there is fashion. That's the obvious one. So you're competing heads up against them. But maybe people who like NASCAR, maybe people who like camping, or maybe people who like these other interest groups also have a need for a watch, but they don't fall under that category or that main interest header of watch, right? And for lipstick, maybe it's people who follow a certain model. Or maybe it's people who like, something like Starbucks or things like that. Now I'm saying really cliche ones that probably still do cover that overlap. Now something that you guys can do is go into, audience insights, or sorry, in your assets library, in your ads manager, go into audiences. If this is something you want to see, I can show you guys. And you guys can create, an audience that has the interest of cosmetics and then an audience that has an interest of this model, let's say. And you can check both of the boxes and click see the overlay between the audiences, and you can see maybe there's 20% that don't hit in there. And now that's the 20% you want to tackle. That's how you guys should be going about this. If you guys need help with this, reach out to me. It is kind of a little bit of a confusing concept. I'm obviously picking very, very easy niches to give you guys examples on this. But that's how you guys should be competing in these saturated markets if that's the area that you really want to compete heads up in. Okay? I hope that makes sense, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or direct message me. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Have a good day.